Come for the greatest global gathering in history, with countries from all over the world. Discover the world's most inventive ideas. See devices that extract water from air, concrete that generates solar power, and the most sensitive radio telescope ever made. Marvel at the world's most inspiring architecture. Step into structures that produce electricity, spaces that change shape, and buildings that send messages to space. Connect with local and global experts, partners, and investors. Join business forums. Participate in thought leadership discussions. Be part of solving today's challenges. Experience the world's greatest entertainment with local and international stars, live concerts, and colorful parades. Take in inspirational art, sample exotic cuisines, and witness more than 190 countries and cultures come together in one place. Join the making of a new world. Expo 2020 Dubai.
The following experience requires your participation. We invite you to think along. Innovation needs... All right, let's come back to that in a moment. Since the dawn of time, we humans have banded together to make great things happen. Think of an iconic landmark. That wasn't a one-man job. Think of that must-have gadget. Surely a synthesis of these inventions which came before. How about your go-to website? Nothing but an empty shell without the millions of contributors. Speaking of millions, remember that idea you had? Make it bigger, make it better, make it happen. Here at Dubai Internet City, the leading tech hub of the Middle East, and a community of brilliant minds chipping away at the future to write themselves into history. So now, that question again. Innovation needs conversations, communication, collaboration. Dubai Internet City, where minds click.
Sharjah, a contemporary metropolis, a diverse business hub, a cultural beacon. With a fast-growing population, an established focus on education, Sharjah is primed for its future. Shorouk, we are the Sharjah Investment and Development Authority, charged with identifying, enabling, and delivering opportunities for Sharjah. Shorouk is an independent government entity that has a deep understanding of the marketplace. We respect our traditions while looking toward tomorrow. Why invest in Sharjah? A modern infrastructure is in place across air, sea, and road. 40% of all industry in the UAE is based in Sharjah. The Emirate is also a popular destination for Arab families, a fast-growing travel segment. We are actively seeking to develop opportunities in the following areas: tourism and tourism infrastructure, retail, real estate and construction, logistics, healthcare, and industrial-free zones. In addition to investment, Shorouk has an expansive portfolio of development initiatives, adding to the cultural and architectural fabric of Sharjah, benefiting citizens, residents, and visitors, and enhancing quality of life. From ecotourism and the preservation of heritage sites, to expansive retail and an array of unique hospitality projects, distinct theme parks and vibrant urban centers, modern commercial and residential offerings. We are the driving force behind transforming Sharjah into a beacon of inspiration. Shorouk, moving forward.
This is an invitation to your future, where you can turn opportunity into innovation and innovation into long-term success. Where economic strength and stability provide business security. Where established infrastructure provides the foundation for success. Where open for business truly means open. And where happiness is matched only by ambition. This is Abu Dhabi, where every day is a reminder to create the next. This is an invitation to your future today.
Good afternoon and welcome to the pre-mission roadshow for our proposed joint mission to the United Arab Emirates. The event is co-organized by the UAE Singapore Business Council. The event is organized by the UAE Singapore Business Council, the Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Singapore Malay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and SG Tech. Before we begin, please allow me to first acknowledge the VIPs in attendance for today. Mr. Sheikh Salih Al-Sharqi, Second Secretary of the UAE Embassy in Singapore. Dr. T. Chanju, Chairman of the Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Dr. Brian Shega, President of the UAE Singapore Business Council. Mr. Azhar Osman, Vice President of the Singapore Malay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Zihan Neo, Director for Strategic Programs, SG Tech. Exco members of UAE SEC, SIKI, SMCCI, and SG Tech. Ladies and gentlemen, we're all here for the pre-mission roadshow, and the aim of this event is to give you a relevant information and a better understanding of the UAE, of the mission, which we have shared with you and which we have sent to you via the invitation. And the mission is focusing on two sectors, the F&B sector and the IT sector. Without further ado, it is my pleasure now to invite our guest of honor, Mr. Sheikh Salih Al-Sharqi, Second Secretary of the UAE Embassy in Singapore, to give his opening remarks. فليتفضل مشكورا.
Yeah, I think, thank you very much. I think it's working now. First of all, Dr. Chandru, Chairman of Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Dr. Brian Shega, President of the UAE Singapore Business Council. Mr. Osman, Vice President of Singapore Malay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Yo, Director of SG Tech. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum. It is my pleasure to be here with you today for the pre-mission roadshow in conjunction with the joint business mission to the UAE. I'm delighted to know that the delegation will be made up of the Singaporean company representing two significant sectors of the UAE, namely food and beverage and IT. The trading of food and beverage in the UAE ranked first in the Middle East and North Africa region, accounting for 80% of other region total trade in food products. As a major logistic hub, the UAE enjoy largely obstructed market access throughout the MENA and across the globe, including major growth centers, namely South Asia, East Africa, and Central Asia. The annual per capita expenditure on food in the United Arab Emirates is forecast to increase about 2.2 thousand US dollar by 2023, from 1.8 thousand US dollar in 2018. The outlook for the food consumption in the entire GCC is expected to reach 16.7 million tons in 2023. It is therefore very timely for the Singaporean companies to take the bite of the UAE F&B market. In addition to the F&B, the UAE is also recognized as a highly competitive market for information communication technology, industry, ICT. Domestically, IT spends in the UAE forecast to reach a total of 8.2 billion by 2023, with a large investment going into software, service, and particular with the solution involved cloud computing, data analytics, cyber attack, and Internet of Things. The hardware segment has also been healthy growth as the market will be dominated by high-end power users and workstations purchased from the enterprise and commercial sectors. In this pandemic era, I understand that many Singaporeans are worried for traveling overseas. Let me assure you that the COVID safety management protocol is fully enforced in all public areas. In fact, according to the Global Response to the Infectious Disease Index, the UAE ranks among the top countries worldwide for its leadership, proactive approach during the pandemic. A study by Frontraiser in the public health showed that successful elements of the UAE pandemic management include efficient and able governments, integrated utilization of public-private partnership, and a global workforce of excellence. With all measures in place in both UAE and Singapore, we are confident that if you follow the protocol in both countries, you will be safe in your travel to the UAE. Lastly, on behalf of my fellow Emirati countrymen, I extend my warm welcome to all of you to the UAE. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Isfan. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite representatives of the co-organizers of the mission to give their brief welcome remarks. To begin, I have the pleasure to invite Dr. Brian Sheikha, President of the UAE SBC, to give his remarks. Dr. Brian.
Thank you, Pooja. Mr. Sheikh Saleh Al-Shafi, Second Secretary of the UAE Embassy, Mr. Dr. T. Chandru, Chairman of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Azhar Osman, Vice President of the Malay Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Xiang Yu, Director of Strategic Partnerships of SB Tech, fellow board members of the respective organizers, and ladies and gentlemen who are present physically with us and those who are joining us by Zoom. Let me welcome you all to this pre-mission roadshow in relation to the joint mission that we are planning to the UAE. We think that this is an important event for various reasons. First of all, for the past 2 years, we've been coping with the very challenging economic and business conditions of COVID. Companies have been hunkering down. And now, as we are slowly and gradually emerging from this COVID era, we should seize on business opportunities that come our way. And I firmly believe that it is time for businesses now to plan for the future, to look at new markets, new business opportunities, and seize these opportunities as they come open to us and unravel to us. The other point I want to make is that the timing of this roadshow is such that the members of the delegation can also participate in Expo 2020, which is a major event very successfully conducted by the UAE government in Dubai. And I think many people would love to have this opportunity to at least visit one of these expos in their lifetime. I was there in December, and I'd like to share with you some experiences. I must first say that it was a very rewarding 2 weeks that I spent in Dubai. I was invited by the Dubai Chamber to speak at an important ASEAN Global Business Forum, where I spoke about how Singapore and the UAE can leverage their positions as hubs for the respective hinterlands, i.e. ASEAN in our case, and the GCC in the case of the UAE. So businesses in both countries not only have opportunities to do business in each other's country in terms of economic activities, business activities within the country, but also leverage the positioning of both countries to do business, for example, in the case of UAE, in the GCC and MENA, and the broader Middle Eastern region, including East Africa. And it was really good for me to go and see for myself the situation in the UAE. And if I may share with you, I felt that the UAE was buzzing. The airport was full, there was a lot of activity. The Expo 2020 had many people going, the number of visitors was impressive. Economic business conditions were certainly on the right trajectory. But I also felt very safe there. And what do I mean? I mean, everybody was wearing a mask. And there was social distancing. UAE has the highest vaccination rate, among the highest in the world, not the highest. Very strict testing regime. So I was there having meetings with various counterparties, government, private companies, agencies, and I felt very safe. So I personally feel that if we can make this happen, this roadshow, it'll be a nice start for the year. And I hope that from this pre-mission roadshow that we are taking the trouble to organize, there will be greater encouragement, greater confidence among Singapore companies and the respective partners that they're working with, Indian Chamber, Malay Chamber, and actually Tech, who will take the opportunity to come along with us and look at the opportunities for the members in the F&B sector and the ICT sector. I want to thank both my good friend Dr. Chandru for hosting this event at this very impressive facility, and that's very much appreciated. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me pass on the microphone to Dr. Chandru.
Thank you, Dr. Bright. Thank you for your kind words. Those good words for the UAE. Let me start off by welcoming Sheikh Saleh, Second Secretary for UAE Embassy. I also like to officially welcome Dr. Bright Sheikh, President of the UAE Business Council. But I'm very happy to tell all of you that he's a good friend and like a brother. We also have Mr. Azaz, the Vice President of the Malay Chamber. I was just sharing with him that 2 days ago I was having lunch with his president. And of course, we have Mr. Zihan Yo, one of the directors for strategic partner, I suppose, for SDTech. Welcome. And I have my board member, Raj. Good afternoon. And for those of you who are first time here, welcome to the Indian Chamber. This is our facilities, as what Dr. Brian said. Not very big, but it's definitely impressive. Thank you for taking time off from your busy schedule at this briefing session. Basically, setting up to the UAE business delegation, joint mission to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Sharjah. Now, certainly, all of you will agree with me, almost 2 years now, with no travels and lots of restrictions. And hopefully, no further changes to our schedule, we'll finally be embarking on a joint business mission to explore opportunities abroad, and this time in 3 cities in the UAE in March 2022. This joint mission will be focusing on meeting companies with a food and beverage, industry, the IT sector. There are two sectors where Indian businesses have, I must say, good head start in many parts of the world, including Singapore. Let me briefly touch on Singapore's trade ties with the UAE before giving you an update on the Singapore Pavilion at the Dubai 2020 Expo, which will be another highlight of ours. Singapore and UAE established ties in 1985 and share strong political, economic, and social-cultural ties. There are regular high-level visits and exchanges between both countries. Singapore maintains an embassy in Abu Dhabi and a consulate general in Dubai. Singapore companies are active across a broad spectrum of sectors, including infrastructure, oil and gas, environmental technologies, logistics, tourism, and retail. The UAE is a leading trading and investment partner of Singapore in the GCC. Bilateral trade in 2020 was 13 billion Singapore dollars. Two-way investments have also been steadily growing over the years. Large investments from Singapore to UAE is the GIC 600 million stake in the US to 20.7 billion Abu Dhabi National Oil Company gas pipeline project. Both sides are also looking into further areas of collaboration. This includes partnerships in technology, innovation, artificial intelligence, space technologies, and public sector. This is where I believe our joint delegation comes into action to discuss opportunities and further expand our cooperation. Let me conclude with some pointers about the Singapore Pavilion at the Dubai Expo 2020. Now it's team connecting minds, creating the future. Expo 2020 Dubai offers visitors a platform to address global challenges and foster creativity, innovation, and collaboration among its 192 participating countries and millions of visitors. The Singapore Pavilion with the theme Nature, Mature Future. This encapsulates Singapore's story of overcoming its physical limitations as a small island city. The Singapore Pavilion also encourages visitors to contemplate their roles in fostering stronger relationship between nature and the built environment as we continue to nurture our land and people to create even more possibilities for our future. I definitely look forward to hearing from our business partners and officials on areas of cooperation. We can jointly explore and let us all take full advantage of this mission and fly our Singapore flag high. Thank you once again for coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chandru. Now I'd like to invite Vice President of the Singapore Malay Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Ashar Osman, to give his remarks. Mr. Ashar.
Mr. Sheikh Saleh Al-Sharqi, Secretary UAMBC, Mr. Brian Shiva, President of the Singapore Business Council, Dr. T. Chandru, Chairman of Singapore Chamber of Commerce Industry, Mr. Sian Neo, Director of Strategic Partnership of SDTech. Thank you so much, speaking guests and partners. Warm welcome to all our attendees today. Internationalization is an essential pillar in SNCI's strategic trust. Before the pandemic, SNCI has organized 12 business missions and 2 trade fairs that benefited over 130 SMEs between 2018 and 2019. During the recent times, SMCI has continued digitalization efforts, organizing online business matching session for SMEs looking to expand into new market despite the ongoing pandemic. UAE itself is a business-friendly, strong, huge economy powerhouse and a forward-looking country. I've been there many times actually before the pandemic, and I love this honestly. And I see the ability for UAE to grow even bigger and even better. So we want to invite the attendees to explore internationalization opportunities with our partners. So don't hesitate to reach out to us to find out more about this initiative. As much as pandemic has, I would say, disrupted businesses, it's actually opened up new opportunities for us to see, for us to understand about digitalization, the IT comes in play. And these are things that create new opportunities, that create new revenue, and create new economic standing. We believe with what UAE are going through, in planning forward, we're going through as well, it is the right direction. And we fully support in terms of how this is to be brought forward. So having said that, the mission or joint mission to the UAE is something that we fully support. We have been there a few times, we have done a couple of missions, and I think the way that this thing has brought, the pandemic has brought to us is resilience. We should never give up, to keep on moving forward, and to seek opportunities where it lies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Aha. Last but not least, we have Mr. Zihan Yo from SG Tech to give his welcome remarks.
Last and definitely least, thank you so much. Just three very quick thoughts. First, a word of gratitude to Mr. Shikshani, Dr. Brian, Dr. Chazil, and Mr. Asad, for allowing SG Tech to be part of this opportunity. It's a real privilege for us to be here. Second, a little word of SG Tech, because I think in this room maybe you might be a little less familiar with what we do. We are a trade association similar to our Muslim Chamber and UAE SBC colleagues, right? We represent companies in the tech sector. And we have recently rebranded intentionally to cover more than just what we used to be, IT, right? So tech is so much more encompassing now, right? And our current mandate represents that. So we represent about 1,000 companies across various sectors, right? Some of them are not, many of them are not, right? Not even traditional IT solution providers. Right, so there are two twin thrusts that SG Tech is focusing on in the next couple of years. One, sustainability, two, digital trust, and undergirding that, we're talking about tech talent, right? And that is a driving force for everything else, right? So, in these areas, we really hope that, we can work with our tech ecosystem, right? And also partners like you in order to drive Singapore forward, right? So that's that. Third, the collaborations. I think we've already heard, the opportunities and the long-standing relationships that Singapore has had with UAE, right? We have so many similarities between our two countries, right? And a lot of mutual respect, right? Something that has been ongoing for many, many years. And I'm sure that we can find ample opportunities, right, to help each other for win-win, right? But beyond that, I'm also extra excited about the collaborations that can happen within this group. And so, Dr. Brian, I'm so grateful to you and Buddha for reaching out to us. And, it really piqued my interest in saying, in these communities, IT, F&B, and the other players that are going to come in, we as Singapore, right, and come together and make everything happen, right? And then we go to UAE and make it happen with that, right? So I'm very excited for those collaborations going forward for this trip. A lot of pent-up excitement for physical travel, so I really hope that this can happen. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zihan. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, Sheikh Salih Al-Shardi, has to take his leave. He has to catch a flight to UAE. So please join me in a round of applause to show respect of this meeting. Thank you, Sheikh Salih. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item on the agenda is a presentation by Dr. Brian Shega, who will share with us useful and key information about UAE's IT and F&B sectors. Dr. Brian, please.
Thank you very much, Buddha. what I hope to achieve by these two presentations for the benefit of the companies who are here participating in Zoom is to show that there are abundant opportunities in these two very important sectors for the UAE. These are two sectors that even in Singapore, there is tremendous strength, expertise, and we have a very exciting offering to show to the UAE in terms of our own track record. So let me quickly sort of go into the presentation proper. The first one is on the ICT sector. And here I want to cover, first of all, the overview of the sector, and then some more granular sort of information on some of the key subsectors. If I may just say that the UAE is very committed to a knowledge-based economy. There's a UAE Vision 2021 and Abu Dhabi Economic Vision 2030 that incorporates numerous initiatives to firmly put the country on the path of a knowledge-based economy. And the government in the UAE, I think you all know, the UAE is a wealthy country. It is the most diversified economy in the GCC. Oil and gas, which is a major source of revenue, is 30%, but they also have a very broadly diversified economy. So when they say they want to do something, they have the resources to invest to ensure that the objectives are met. So the government has really set aside substantial budgets to achieve this vision. Now, the government has also done a very interesting thing. For example, we all know in the IT sector that artificial intelligence is going to be a major driver of this knowledge economy. They have therefore appointed a minister for artificial intelligence. I think they're the only country that is a minister for artificial intelligence to position UAE as a global leader in artificial intelligence. And that shows the commitment that the country has to this. The government itself, from a government perspective, in terms of their own businesses, has a digital strategy for themselves. It's called the UAE Digital Government Strategy of 2025. And they are setting the tone. They are leading the way in employing technology in all their activities to make government business, or the art of government, the act of government, dealing with the private sector, the public sector, and people as a whole, very technologically driven. Now, some of you may have some reservations about cryptocurrencies, but universally we all know blockchain is going to be transformational. And there too, there is a Emirates Blockchain 2021 strategy to leverage the importance that blockchain technology will play in many aspects of business and government. Now, in fact, 50% of the government transactions are now on blockchain platform. The way it operates in the UAE, we've got the ministry and then we've got the Southern Emirates, of which the two most important are Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And all the Emirates, but particularly Abu Dhabi and Dubai, have developed their own digital strategies unique to their own Emirates. And this is all part of the overall government strategy as well. To move on to the next slide, there is also the concept of free trade zones. And they've set up specific free trade zones in the area of technology. For example, you have Dubai Internet City, Dubai Silicon Oasis, and Hub 71 in Abu Dhabi. And these free zones that specialize in this sector are industry clusters, and they encourage cutting-edge technology and innovation by attracting companies from all over the world to operate there. There are various benefits in operating in a free trade zone, for example, 100% import and export tax exemption, 100% repatriation of profit and capital, and zero corporate tax. But what has happened recently is that companies now can also have 100% foreign ownership outside of the trade zone, which is a big sort of liberalization measure that the government has introduced. Now, demand for ICT products and services is strong. It's led by strong investment load in various sectors: healthcare, space, aviation, aerospace, defense, transportation, retail, financial services, e-commerce, for example, fintech, for example, hospitality, manufacturing. All these sectors are growing very strongly, and that will automatically lead to increased demand for IT services and products. And to commit to providing the sort of human resource, the government has also invested in UAE ICT Fund to train MNRTs to be properly skilled in IT. And of course, they're also very open in terms of opening the doors to professionals from all over the world to work there. Now, if I may now sort of go into some of the subsectors I think that are worth highlighting. Let me just talk about a few of these. There are many, but the key ones I want to follow up. First of all, cloud computing. Now, UAE is the largest data center hub in the Middle East, and there are more being planned by the day. $1 billion of additional investments are projected by 2026. In 2019, Microsoft launched 2 cloud regions in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and Amazon Web Services in 2021 announced a new data center in the UAE. The government itself has made substantial investments in cloud computing. And of course, the competitive environment in the country, a strong technological infrastructure, will certainly lead to greater demand in cloud computing. Next would be cybersecurity. The UAE's geopolitical importance as a major oil-producing country, as a major economic hub, is something that makes it vulnerable target in terms of cyber attacks. Hence, there is demand, significant demand in cybersecurity services. So MRPs themselves have reported the highest number of malware incidents among consumers in the GCC. So to protect this key infrastructure, data information and infrastructure, and to make sure that the national cybersecurity environment is properly managed and safeguarded, the government has issued a lot of regulations and requirements to keep it safe. And that therefore leads to demand for services among companies who are operating in cybersecurity to provide this sort of expertise. Dubai itself has launched a very strident cybersecurity strategy, which involves various aspects of cybersecurity. Let me move on to the next area. Maybe you can control the slides. Now, Internet of Things is another one of those very much talked about topic in the knowledge-based economy. These include smart cities, the industrial internet, machine-to-machine communication, and there are applications in the public sector for smart cities, in telehealth, enterprise applications as well, smart metering, for example, asset tracking, production optimization. And so the UAE again is becoming a leading global location for the deployment of such IoT Internet of Things solutions and to enhance the sort of efficiency of public infrastructure as well in the way businesses operate. And there is a great commitment to be a smart country, a smart city. And I strongly believe that when you go to the UAE, you'll realize the advances and the impressive strides the country has made in IT infrastructure. So IoT spending is expected to exceed 37 billion with a compounded annual growth rate of 31%. And it's very impressive indeed. Next is artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, it's explained to you that even the minister in charge of that is a top priority in the UAE. And they expect that this will directly and indirectly contribute to 40% of GDP by 2030. And it will continue to grow in importance and utility. So there is a strategy that the government has for artificial intelligence by itself to improve the efficiency in transport and health, renewable energy, technology, education, environment, and traffic sectors. And there are also opportunities beyond the UAE in the broader GCC region, particularly in Saudi and Qatar, which can be easily served by a presence in the UAE. Smart cities is another area. You know, all these sectors are sectors that Singapore is itself positioning itself to be, cutting edge operator. So it should not be a surprise to people who are operating in the sector that Dubai is, and Abu Dhabi and the whole UAE has got similar strategies. So they are really into smart cities, and they want to not remove, but move away from the dependence on oil and gas. And they want to really position themselves in technology, in operating cities which are all wider. And there are significant opportunities where Singapore companies have already participated in a number of these projects. So there is also a paperless strategy that Dubai has implemented to achieve 98% of all government transactions in a paperless digital manner. And there are other examples where the concept of smart city solutions are being constantly rolled out, so to speak. Now, next sector, of course, is 5G, and we all know the importance of 5G. Next slide, please, Sudan. And the UAE is amazing in its commitment to 5G. Was the first country in the Arab region and the fourth globally to launch 5G network. Both Du and Etisalat, which are the country's two leading communication companies, launched their 5G network as early as 2019, and they have plans for 6G, and it's expected to be 100 times faster than 5G. So they're constantly looking at 5G technology. It's going to happen, and it's a matter of time as how it's rolled out. My final slide is to show you that there are, in addition to all these sectors, opportunities in a broad number of other areas, and one would be software services, and that's shown in the chart. Another would be the demand for computer hardware, and so all these three sectors: hardware, which is the top one, which is the dark blue, and then we've got software and services as a whole are going to grow. And the chart has shown that the forecast is also very promising. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to sort of conclude that overview on the ICT side, and I hope that companies in the Indian Chamber, who I know are very keen in IT, a very strong reputation in IT, Indian Chamber, and of course, XG-Tech, which is a specialized trade association in IT, and we've got 1,000 members. You know, I hope you will take advantage of the opportunities that are being offered to Singapore companies, and the whole trade mission is geared towards exposing you to these opportunities. I'm going to quickly go on to the F&B sector, which is another sector which I must say there are significant opportunities for Singapore companies. And again, Indian Chamber, Malay Chamber have a large number of members who are really actively participating in the sector. And what I want to show you in this presentation is that the metrics are very, again, promising in the UAE. So very quickly, I'm going to talk to you about food security. Now, food security isn't like a buzzword now. Everybody's talking about food security in Singapore. They say in Singapore, our policy now is to be self-sufficient 30% in terms of local food production by 2030. And that's an important strategic objective. Now, countries like UAE are the same. So they believe in promoting vertical farming, proper food storage facilities, investing in agricultural land, Asia and Africa, and many other initiatives. So much so if you look at the index, it's a growing index where the UAE is seen as the best performer in the improvement of global food security index. Now, what are the sectors that are driving opportunities in the food industry in the UAE? And there are some very important factors to take note. One, of course, is population growth. The other is high GDP per capita. That means solid spending power. Consumer spending is significant in the UAE. And the population, as I said, around $10 billion. So the food industry is one of the growth sectors, without doubt, in the UAE. And I believe that there will be opportunities in Singapore for Singapore companies. Going to now skip the next one. Basically, this is again saying that there are opportunities because of the importance of food security. For example, domestic production of food is going to be over 100,000 tons per year, which is what they can achieve already. And they want to create more jobs, 16,000 jobs. The food sector, all these metrics show that this is a growing sector, all right? And there'll be economic returns of 22 billion in the food sector. So what I'm trying to say here is because of the importance of food security as an objective, companies in Singapore should be astute in trying to see where they can position themselves, maybe good manufacturing, because they want to produce food locally. And already there are Singapore companies who are operating in food manufacturing in the UAE. One of them is a major company called Indepuna, which is a member of Business Council. Now let's look at the market. Now, if you look at now I'm going to give you statistics until 2019. And what I'm saying to you is, yes, over the past 2 years, like Singapore, UAE is the same. There has been a downturn. Let's not get ourselves away from all that. But what I'm trying to show is the base case is good. And as we emerge out of COVID, as the world reopens, as tourism starts to flow in and people start traveling, we will go back to the same trend as we have seen in the past. So the figures are up to 2018, 2019, but this is what I want you to bear in mind. And let's look at 2021 as aberration, so to speak, because of COVID. So retail sales of fresh food and packaged food in the UAE reached $8 billion and $5.5 billion respectively. And you look at the growth rate, it's about 5.1% and 3.9% respectively. So the trend, as you can see, is a very healthy trend. Now we look at the next slide. We look at sort of food categories. And here, it's very clear, the statistics show that there is again growth in all these sectors, staple food being the highest in terms of growth potential, followed by dairy, snacks, cooking ingredients, meals. And then you look at fresh food, it's interesting, the statistics show that meat is a growing sector, followed by vegetables and fruits. Next slide, please. So the beverages sector is quite interesting. Again, it's grown at a very strong CAGR of about 5 to 7%. And within that sector, the subsectors that seem to grow do very well is bottled water, juices, carbonates, energy drinks. And one of the research reports show that RTD coffee seems to be growing at a very good rate as well. So next slide, please. There's also this, new trends in food that's happening in Singapore. What are these? Naturally healthy food, organic food, free from food. The naturally healthy food, the nuts and seed sector, big part of that. Followed by dairy, high fiber, organic food, organic dairy, baby food, organic, and other organic food products. And of course, this free-from meaning dairy-free, gluten-free, allergen-free, lactose-free. Again, these type of special type of product which have certain ingredients, a certain part of consumer want is also growing well. These are areas that some of our companies we want to take note of. And so e-commerce, next slide, e-commerce, we all know, same in Singapore, the same in other countries, e-commerce in the food sector is growing. And even before COVID-19, the trend was 29.6% on a CAGR basis. But what I'm going to tell you, and I'm sure you all will agree, that is going to be even more pronounced going forward, as people have got used to using, the e-platforms for purchases and so on and so forth, and for business as well. This one is from the Dubai market per se. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to take too much time. I want people to ask questions so we can have a more interactive session. And so if you go to the next one, these are forecasts of F&B, and basically the forecast is a strong forecast in terms of the CAGR growth going forward from 2018 to 2023, 5.1% for staple food, 4% for cooking ingredients and meals, snacks 2.6%, and again on the fresh food side, meat going very well, pulses, nuts, and for on the drink side, as I earlier mentioned, coffee. RTD coffee seems to be very much in demand at the moment. So, okay, next slide. So the opportunities are there in the whole business environment, food manufacturing, and mentioned agriculture, because of food security. That's not really of interest to us, except for vertical farmers. But here in Singapore, we want to look at vertical farming opportunities. You know, Singapore is really strong in agricultural technology, so that's another area that may not be directly F&B, but something that we as Business Council want to promote. Halal food is very important, and this is where the Malay Chamber is very interested in this sector. If you look at the Islamic economy, you know, the biggest pillar of the Islamic economy is finance. Okay, and you look at the Islamic economy, the biggest player in the Islamic economy in finance is Malaysia. Second is UAE. So you look at all the various pillars of the Islamic economy, the second biggest is F&B. And UAE is number one in F&B. It's also number one in all the other sectors. So halal F&B is a very important sector. I believe Singapore companies who are members of the Malay Chamber and Indian Chamber as well, who are in this sector, can derive opportunities. I have been approached by so many companies, members of the Malay Chamber, who have said to us, hey, we want to do business with you. What can we do? Their product, we want to sell there, they want to distribute there, and that's a start. Later on, maybe they can have a manufacturing plant there. So I would say halal food definitely for Singapore, Malaysia as well as an area that we in Singapore can capitalize to achieve one of the biggest investors in UAE in food manufacturing is a Singapore company doing halal and food manufacturing, halal food. They're huge. And so really I like to sort of conclude now and hand the mic back to our MC Buddha, who will conduct the next part of the roadshow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim, for the interesting and comprehensive presentation of the two sectors, F&B and IT. Just bear with me for a second. I'm just going to share the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the part of the event where we share with you the tentative travel itinerary for the joint mission to the UAE. Please note that the travel dates displayed in this itinerary is tentatively set for 6th to 11th March. These dates are subject to change depending on the confirmed number of participants. On day one, we plan to travel to Dubai on Sunday, 6th March, taking flight EK353. I'm pleased to share that the UAE has secured a 10% discount on air tickets for each confirmed delegates in this mission. After immigrations and baggage collection, we expect to check in at the hotel at around 6:30 a.m. We are proposing for the delegation to stay at either the Grand Excelsior in Deira or Lucid Family Hotel in the IFC. UAE SBC has again negotiated discounted group bookings at both hotels. Day two.
Sorry, Abuja, it's going to be one or the other.
Yes, yeah. So if that's not clear, then yeah, sorry. What we will select one of the two. On day 2, the delegation will visit Dubai Chamber in the morning. The meeting with Dubai Chamber will begin with speeches by representatives from the hosting organization, followed by remarks by co-heads of our delegation. After that, the Dubai Chamber will give a presentation about their services, explain how to set up business in Dubai, and also share specific information relating to F&B and IT. Following that, within the same meeting, each Singapore delegate will be invited to give a brief presentation about your company and your aspirations in the UAE. This will be followed by a Q&A discussion. This meeting format will be a template for all meetings arranged in the UAE. We believe this format is gives ample exposure to companies, to Singapore companies, and gives a good understanding to the Emirati agency who is hosting us at that time. Go to day 2. On the afternoon of day 2, the delegation will be split into 2 to their respective sectors for parallel sectoral meetings. The F&B group will have meetings with Islamic group. Al-Islami Foods. They are a leader in manufacturing frozen halal foods for 5 decades. The next meeting will be with Kitchen Nation. Kitchen Nation is Dubai's first culinary incubator that also provides cloud kitchen catering to some of Dubai's top restaurants. The IT group, at the same time, will visit Dubai Internet City. The Dubai Internet City is GCC's leading dedicated tech hub, providing commercial spaces, services, retail, events for thousands of tech innovators. Following that, we'll proceed to D-Tech. D-Tech is the largest technology innovation hub in the Middle East and North Africa region, with an integrated ecosystem allowing 100% foreign ownership to startups, SMEs, and technology entrepreneurs from around the world. After these meetings, before heading back to the hotel, all the delegates will need to take a PCR test. Because we will be heading to Abu Dhabi on the Wednesday, for your info, it is a requirement for entry to most public spaces and agencies in Abu Dhabi to have a valid 48-hour negative PCR test. That's why we're taking the test on day 2. We move to the next one. On day 3, the delegation will be heading to Sharjah. Sharjah is the 3rd most important emirate of UAE. It's very near to Dubai, just less than half an hour away. Sharjah is the intellectual and cultural capital of the UAE. It was named UNESCO's Cultural Capital of the Arab World. And in 2019, it was also designated UNESCO's World Book Capital. The emirate has many reputable educational institutions, including those providing cutting-edge training in engineering, science, and technology. The University of Sharjah is linked to a free zone called Sharjah Research and Technology Industrial Park, which allows tech companies in the free zone to have access to the university's resources. We plan to have a meeting at Sharjah Invest, which is also known as Shuruk. The meeting there will be the same format as the one in Dubai Chamber, where after presentations by the host, each delegate will have a chance to promote themselves and their aspirations in the UAE. Following that, we'll have a lunch break in Sharjah before heading back to Dubai for the parallel sectoral meetings. The IT group will be meeting with Rakmiyat, an IT company established way back in 1983 that delivers digitization solutions, including digital banking, business automation, and holistic technology consultation. Following that, the IT group will head to Emiratech. Emiratech is a part of the investment corporate of Dubai. It is a leading online technology solutions and consulting company among all the Arab world. The F&B group, at the same time, will head to IFCO. IFCO is a UAE SPC member and is part of the Al-Anan group, one of the largest producers and retailers of processed food products and agro-commodities. IFCO began with food manufacturing and then diversified into marketing and brand building in the 1990s. Following that, we'll head to Kitopi. Kitopi is known for its ability to help restaurants and F&B brands set up and extend their reach. They currently operate more than 75 cloud kitchens across the GCC. In the evening, we plan to organize a networking cocktail reception at the hotel in Dubai, details of which I'll explain in my next slide. Day 4, the delegation will be heading out to Abu Dhabi. Of course, Abu Dhabi is the legislative capital of the UAE, which is around, Abu Dhabi is around 2 hours away from Dubai by coach.
Can you change the slide?
Oh, sorry. Apologies for that. The first meeting in Abu Dhabi will be at the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, or better known as ADIO. ADIO is a government arm supporting private sector investment in the UAE, especially in Abu Dhabi. ADIO's investor care team provide a holistic service to guide you through the steps to set up your business in Abu Dhabi, as well as inform you of the relevant grants or incentives that are available in your sector from the Abu Dhabi government. Following that, we'll have a lunch at a restaurant in Corniche, owned by Mr. Faisal Ali Abdullah, he's the CEO of Empire Group of Restaurants. In the afternoon, the delegation will again be separated into 2 groups according to sectors. The IT group will be meeting Hub 71. Hub 71 is a global tech ecosystem enabling and supporting IT startups and SMEs to grow. Hub 71 is a key driver of Ghadan 21, the government program mentioned, and the catalyst for Abu Dhabi's digital transformation. Following that, we'll go to Emircom. Emircom is a market leader for ICT in the Middle East. They partner with big heavyweights in the ICT sector across the GCC region. The FMB group at the same time will head to Lulu Group International. You might have heard Lulu. It's a multinational conglomerate company that operates a chain of hypermarkets and retail companies. Their headquarters is actually in Abu Dhabi itself. Next, the FMB group will head to AD Co-ops. AD Co-ops is a pioneer of UAE's retail industry. At present, they successfully operate retail brands with over 45 hypermarkets, supermarkets, and convenience stores, and as well as supplying to 7 shopping malls across the UAE. Following that, like the day before, we will have a networking cocktail reception in Abu Dhabi, where we will invite. So this is where at the bottom right side of your screen, you can see the program for the cocktail reception. This is the same format that we'll do in Dubai as well. So in the evening, the networking cocktail reception is where we will invite senior management of Abu Dhabi's private and public sector, including potential Abu Dhabi investors who have interest in F&B and IT. As you can see from the program here, we will invite the guest of honor, the Singapore ambassador to the UAE, to the reception, and following that, we will give spotlight to each one of our delegates to go on stage and present and to pitch your company and products, as well as your aspirations to the guests who are attending the reception. Following that, you will have ample time to network informally with the guests at the reception. Day 5, just go to the next slide. Day 5 is dedicated to Expo 2020 Dubai, which is about 15 minutes away from the hotel. We'll bring delegates to visit key pavilions at the site. With the help of UAE SBC's partners and members in Dubai, we will coordinate guided tours of these pavilions. The last pavilion will be, of course, the last but not least, pavilion will be the Singapore Pavilion, which is, for your info, UAE SBC is an official sponsor of one of the official sponsors of the Singapore Pavilion. The next day is our return back to Singapore, if you can see at the bottom of the screen. But obviously, you may decide to extend your stay on your own personal itinerary. That's the itinerary for now, but let me go to the most important topic, the budget. With negotiated group bookings that we have secured, we estimate that the personal costs per delegate related to accommodation and tickets, etc., will not go beyond the 2.5K mark at the moment. In addition to personal costs, each delegate will also incur a participation fee. This fee covers the total cost for local transport, networking receptions, publication, on-site manpower, coordination and consultation fees, etc. The estimated participation fee is between 2 to 4K, subject to the number of confirmed delegates that signed up for this mission. This participation fee is potentially legible, potentially able to get as ESG grant that covers 50 to 70% of the amount. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I will open the floor to for questions, both via Zoom and via physical here at the training room. Please, for the people who are in Zoom, please type your questions in the Q&A window, or alternatively, if you want to speak via video, please click on the raise hand icon. For those of you who are here in the training room physically, please raise your physical hand, and my colleagues from the Indian Chamber will pass you the microphone. Any questions? Let me see. I think there's some questions online. No, sorry, these are just comments from technical comments from the attendees. Anyone here who would like to ask a question?
I have a couple of questions, but I think let them finish first. Anyone? Any question? Anyone else? I might get a more rolling one. Mike?
Firstly, I want to thank Buddha for the in-depth briefing, and Dr. Brian for all the information. On behalf of Singapore Indian Chamber. Okay, so that's one question. So let's answer my question. Okay, now two more questions. Sorry, so there is a PCR when we arrive in Abu Dhabi. That's the mandatory criteria. PCR test, right?
You must have a valid one for 8 hours.
So who's going to bear the cost of the PCR?
It's included in the participation fee.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it, Mrs. Zahid? No, it's not. Sorry, I just had confirmation that. Oh yes, yeah. It's there. Number 3. It's has to be borne by the participant.
Participant, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is covered in the 2,000.
No, it's your personal cost. So these are the costs that you can't claim, and these are the costs that you can claim.
Okay. Now, we just need to understand, so we need to have a clarity on the secretariat staff expenses.
Yes.
So supposedly we have, like, how many secretariat is allowed based on the TACs, with each TAC? Is there a limitation?
If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Zaki, correct me if I'm wrong, six delegates will qualify for one secretariat.
Okay, 6 delegates. So how is the cost for the secretariat?
So in the participation fee is where we get the cost to cover the secretariat. Yeah.
So for every six participants, the one secretariat will be covered.
Yeah. Anything to add, Zaki, in terms of that?
Just to clarify, the cost is covered for airfare accommodation.
With regards to the secretariat cost, only the airfare accommodation is covered, is payable for ESG. Everything else is not supported.
Okay, so if I understand, normally the grant application, we need to get the in-principle approval to, before even, so, because when we have members calling us, I just want to be sure what is the approach. Shall I, how can I tell them about this grant application, and where are we now?
I think that's a question for Mr. Zaki. Where are we now in terms of the grant application?
The application has been submitted. Right now, we are just pending some queries from ESG. I believe if there are some questions from our members, you can just say that it is still in process. Then anything else we can discuss during our internal discussion. Sure.
So one last question, sorry.
Okay, last but not least, for unforeseen reasons, we want to know about the insurance coverage.
Yes.
Should somebody contract for it,
Yeah.
along the trip? So what is the next course of action?
If you book a ticket by Emirates Airlines, the COVID, comes with COVID insurance coverage until 31st of March. So that's the incentive.
So that's for the flight portion, right? Is it for the whole trip?
For the trip, it's for the trip.
I think you've covered everything. Is there anything else?
Let me check online if there's any questions from our Zoom attendees. No? No, there's no questions from anybody here.
Thank you, Buddha and Dr. Brian. Just a question for us. We are new to the game. I've never been to Dubai, but we have the intention to try to sell our business offerings to people in Dubai and the GCC in particular. So I'd like to know if is Dubai a good place for us to network with other parties from the GCC, like the good place? Would that be a good place to start?
So, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, we are from Herbal Farm. We are a health supplement company. We deal mainly with organic as well as natural products. And a lot of it is built. It is manufactured in America, and we are the #1 halal qualified accredited product-based company in Singapore to do health supplements. So we like to try to, I won't say penetrate, but to try to come into this market. Would it be good for us to try?
In my view, that is also a very good sector. People are very health conscious, and really, as you know, the level of affluence is very high, and they have a large local and large expatriate population, local population. And if you are looking at halal-based food supplements, there is not just a market in the UAE, but also in the whole of the Middle East. And the UAE, beyond that, is the best place to have as a base for the whole region. So you have the local market, and then you have the market in the Middle East as a whole, which you can very easily cover from the UAE because of the strong connectivity provided by Emirates Airline, Fly. So I would completely agree with you. It's a country that you should explore in a broader region as well for what you have as a very interesting product.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have the word lead on to that. But in the mission, I would like to meet potential partners. I saw maybe the Lulu group, I'm not sure, but how do I connect directly with them? Would it help us?
Okay, in this instance, because we are going to be arranging, this whole program is very well crafted and curated to give you exposure to some very important companies. You mentioned Lulu. The Lulu is a huge operation, and they have within their hypermarkets a section that deals with your type of product. So this will give you the opportunity to develop a connection with them and explore subsequently the opportunity for you to use them to showcase the product, sell the product. The other company called Abu Dhabi Corp, another ASC company, also operating strongly in Abu Dhabi, but not the scale of Lulu. You will be meeting them as well. And then one of the companies that have been featured in Dubai. So while this is not a pharmaceutical-based, food supplement-based mission, but you will be, I think, will benefit you personally to be part of it because you'll be exposed to the country, you'll be exposed to what's happening in the economy in certain sectors which are relevant to you. And then you have some specific companies that you can talk to about for your product. Then, selling your product.
Still no questions online. If there isn't any questions, I guess we can close the session. Okay. Just turn the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your attendance for today, both via Zoom and in person. Thank you to the participating representatives of each chamber and SG Tech as well. For those who are here, please help yourselves with some refreshments outside. And to those in Zoom, apologies for all any technical difficulties that we may have. Don't worry, we will email you the link to view the slides that we are displaying on you as well here that are attending in person. Yeah, till next time, thank you very much and Assalamu alaikum.